So joining me now is Democratic Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey. He was, for what it's worth, once considered a potential presidential candidate himself, had Biden decided not to seek a second term. Murphy, of course, is now a member of the Biden-Harris Campaign National Advisory Board, so there's no more talk of that. Governor Murphy, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Greetings from the Jersey Shore, Chuck. Great to be with you.
I appreciate that. Let me start with this idea of bidenomics. As you know, the public doesn't believe that this administration is doing well on the economy. Obviously, you believe differently. Why do you think voters don't buy into bidenomics yet?
Yeah, I think there's a lead-lag factor here, Chuck. First of all, the facts speak for themselves. 13 million jobs created. I think unemployment below 4% for the longest stretch in 50 years. It's a middle-class, middle-out, bottom-up approach. I look back at 40 years ago this summer. Even the great communicator himself, Ronald Reagan, was struggling to get the message through that the economy had already begun its recovery in the previous year. Ultimately, he went on to a landslide victory the next year. I'm not sure it's going to be a landslide, but the facts are on the side of the president and his administration, and I think eventually that seeps into the general sense of how the economy is.
Do you think this pessimism, though, is driven by the fact that the most likely voters, the people that pay the most attention, nearly 20% of our electorate are retirees, right? And so the cost of living increases impact them more than those that are currently working. Not to say this doesn't impact everybody, but in some ways, a retiree is more sensitive to inflationary issues than somebody in the working world. And as you know, they're the most likely voter. How do you bridge that divide?
Yeah, I think your premise is exactly right. In fact, we just signed a budget with a massive property tax relief explicitly for seniors. Tomorrow, I'm going to sign a bunch of bills capping prescription drug prices for seniors again. But the facts, I think, in the Biden administration also speak to the reality that inflation is here. There's no question. But the United States over the past year is the leading deflationary country in the developed world. So I would say help is on the way, and there's an enormous focus, I know, by the president and his team on seniors and affordability, as there is here in Jersey.
But as you know, it looks like the stubborn inflation numbers mean we're going to have more interest rate hikes. And before you were in public service, you were in the finance world, you know what this means. A rise in interest rates is going to mean harder to get a car loan, harder to get that is not how you create the conditions to convince people the economy is humming.
Yeah, although I have to say I'm not sure that the Federal Reserve has much choice. There's no question you raise interest rates another 25 or 50 basis points, there's short-term pain. You're absolutely right. But that pain is very small as compared to if inflation is allowed to reemerge and stay with us for many years. Sadly, that's tough medicine. But, we're coming out of a pandemic, all of the extraordinary, unique realities associated with that. At a certain point in that respect, you may have no choice.
Let me ask you about where we're coming in the general election. If this is a referendum, do you think the Democrats can avoid this being a referendum on Joe Biden's presidency? Or do you think that's a good thing if it's a referendum on Joe Biden's presidency?
Well, I certainly think it's a good thing if it's based on the track record, which is outstanding. We've talked about the economy. I think that story only gets better. His foreign policy, particularly leading the coalition against this brutal war of aggression by Russia, has been a masterclass. Sadly, I think folks vote more. They vote less on that front, but it's a reality. Those are two very powerful engines. And I think when the facts are on your side, I'd rather be playing that hand than a hand that doesn't have the facts on their side and is making a lot of noise.
Do you believe that Donald Trump presents the best contrast for Joe Biden's reelection? Or are there other candidates that you think would be easier for Joe Biden to face?
I don't know that. I think this, Chuck. I believe a strong economy and a powerful foreign policy hand, and the president has exhibited both. I think that's a winning hand no matter who they're up against. I'm not suggesting it's a runaway election like it was in 1984, But if you've got those two engines on your side, that to me is a winning hand no matter who you're up against.
A couple of quick political stories. On the Supreme Court, do you think it's time for Democrats to embrace this idea of changing how the court works, adding justices, term limits, or do you try to deal with the system that you have rather than change the system?
Yeah, as painful as this radical court has been, taking away rights and freedoms, I'm in the camp that you play within the rules. And I have to say that's a tough conclusion given the extremity of whether it's LGBTQ decisions, abortion, student loans, affirmative action, one gut punch after another. I think you still play within the rules.
The largest ever transportation grant from the federal government is coming to the tri-state area. $7 billion for this second tunnel, the most trafficked area in the country. This was a new tunnel for trains that was on the books to start being built in 2009. The project began. Christie, your predecessor, killed it, decided to say no to this. Is this decision reaffirm Governor Christie's decision at the time, or is this going to now cost New Jersey taxpayers more?
Now, listen, the biggest policy mistake of the past 50 years in New Jersey was his decision to cancel the predecessor to this project. This is a game changer, and this is overwhelmingly supported by federal money. The tunnels that exist were built in 1910. They've been damaged severely over the years. This is 2 new rail tunnels under the Hudson River. It's a game changer for New Jersey commuters. But tragically, the project that was canceled by my predecessor would have been opened 5 years ago. So we're going to get it, but it's sadly later than it should have been.
And does it cost more money now?
Oh, it definitely costs more money. But we have no choice. This is the most congested. This is 20% of the American economy rides in these rails. And thousands of commuters from New Jersey go into New York every day. We have no choice.
Governor Phil Murphy, Democrat of New Jersey, appreciate you coming on and spending your Sunday morning with us. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.